eSIM Studios YouTube and mobile app. The eSIM Studios YouTube channel offers the very best technology news and reviews with in-depth coverage found nowhere else. Hosted by founder and creator, Taylor Bell. He's a really good dude, college educated, and worked inside the industry. He knows what he is talking about. The eSIM Studios mobile app is an experience unlike any other tech app, with an easy-to-use interface view, late-breaking tech news from all over the industry, and so much more. The samstudios.app also includes the unlocker. Learn to unlock phones from the professionals for free. The clean and intuitive layout, finding breaking news articles and deals in tech has never been easier. Watch and listen to the eSIM Studios YouTube channel and podcast from within the app. Additional features include easy Gcam download and installation, the Android Flash tool, and sign up for our weekly giveaway drawing. Download the eSIM Studios mobile app at simstudios.app and find us on YouTube by simply searching eSIM Studios.
Your little Mac M3 CPU is sweet. It can't beat my Snapdragon X Elite. iPhone stuck on same design for years. Nothing but the OnePlus Pixel have you crying tears. You got that iPhone 15, I got that phone to nothing. Think you're cool with iOS 18. Android had those features back in 2018. Your little Mac M3 CPU is sweet. It can't beat my Snapdragon X Elite. iPhone stuck on same design for years. Nothing but the OnePlus Pixel have you crying tears. M3 CPU is sweet. It can't beat my Snapdragon X Elite. iPhone stuck on same design for years. Nothing but the OnePlus Pixel have you crying tears. You got that iPhone 15, I got that phone to nothing. Think you're cool with iOS 18. Android had those features back in 2018. Your little Mac M3 CPU is sweet. It can't beat my Snapdragon X Elite. iPhone stuck on same design for years. Nothing but the OnePlus Pixel have you crying tears. M3 CPU is sweet. It can't beat my Snapdragon X Elite. iPhone stuck on same design for years. Nothing but the OnePlus Pixel have you crying tears.
Welcome back, eSIM Studios Podcast Livestream, episode number 168. Gonna be a quick one today. As you can tell, starting very, very late. At a very late start to the day, actually. I slept way past I didn't even wake up for my alarm. And I set like 5 or 6 alarms for myself every morning. And blew right past every single one of them. So I got a late start in the day. So it unfortunately pushed everything back, including this podcast live stream. But it's all good. We're going to get it going right now. So got a couple of things. If you missed this, right, go to eSIM Studios YouTube channel and catch the replay. You can also listen to us on any podcast application wherever you get your podcast. Simply search eSIM Studios and we will pop up. Or if all those fails, what I do sometimes, just Google eSIM Studios, and we've basically cornered the market on that term, eSIM Studios. So if you, everything will pop up. YouTube, podcast, our reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we're all over the place. On Twitter, Instagram, all sorts of stuff. So we love technology, and we are here for you if you do too. So real quick, I had changing a couple topics, right? Because I'd initially planned on roasting Apple, and I will, but I'm going to push that back maybe tomorrow or maybe Sunday. They deserve a roasting for one of the decisions they've made. However, I'm not going to do that today because there's a bunch of good Apple news, which you won't hear me say too often. But look, we're about to get into something that basically solidifies themselves on top of the world, essentially, right? So what am I talking about? Well, there's this little thing called a quarterly earnings report, and it appears Apple has just blown through and blown the roof off of everybody's expectations. Check this out. Apple reports, I had to read this twice. Apple reports a record Q3 2024 earnings with 85.78, nearly $86 billion in revenue in one quarter. It's mind-blowing. Let me repeat that. Apple just reported in just these last few months, damn near $86 billion in revenue. Mind-boggling. Again, I think I read it 3 times. I couldn't believe it. Staggering. Now, again, we're going to make this a quick podcast, but I want to get into, in a second after we look at this, I want to get into a company on the other end. A company that's for free falling, essentially skydiving without a parachute. And they're skydiving in the New York Stock Exchange. Not good. Are they NASDAQ? I don't know. Anyways, their stock is plummeting, but not Apple, but we'll get into it. So Apple revealed in its full earnings report for the fiscal third quarter of 2024, the company reported $85.78 billion in revenue during the 3-month period. 3 months. $86 billion. 3 months. And net profit for the quarter came in at $21 billion. So they raked in, what does that mean? They raked in almost $86 billion with a B, meaning that's all the money that came in. Now, after paying all their bills, after paying employees, after insurance, rent, all their bills are paid, what's left over? $21.5 billion. Damn near gonna hit close to $100 billion in profits for the end of the year, for the fiscal year of 2024. That's what they're on pace for. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. This makes a new June quarter revenue record and earnings per share record. Lord have mercy. For as much crap as I give Apple, you can't deny it's just staggering what they're doing profits wise in the tech industry. And I'm gonna this weekend I'm gonna roast them, maybe a little later this weekend, or maybe not so much them, but roast their fanboys, because there is an issue. They're not perfect, right? Like, nothing's perfect, nobody's perfect, no company is perfect, and I will point that out later in the weekend here in a few days. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get a whiff of that. But look at this. Apple quarter 3 2024 earnings by product category. So we already went over the total revenue, damn near 86 billion. Net income 21.5 billion. Ready? iPhone raked in $39.3 billion. Now it's down almost 1% year over year, but I mean, they're putting out the same phone year after year, so you can't really blame them, but things are about to change. Mac, 7 billion. iPad, 7 billion. Wearables, home and accessories, 8 billion. Services, 24 billion. Up over 14%. Yo. One dark spot for Apple's quarter 3 earnings, however, is China. Where Greater China net sales fell 6% year over year from last year. That's look, we don't have enough time to get into that, but I'm going to post the link to I'm going to post a link. I got to hang on one second. I'm going to post a link to this earnings report in the description box below. Now, let's get into this other story. You're not going to want to miss this. All right, hang on. Just when I thought everything was going to go smooth. Okay. Sorry about that. So after we get into Apple's just mind-boggling revenue report. So as you know, their iPhone sales were down roughly 1% year over year, right? Now, I know that's going to change here. Look, Apple's put out essentially the same phone for the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 years. Now, I know technically not the same phone, but basically it is, right? With like 1 or 2 small variations per device, just to throw in there so people will say, well, it is new. Look, it's got this on there. It's the same phone. Things are about to change. Apple's about to go change up their design language drastically. And what do I mean by drastically? Well, look, Tim Cook is going to retire. It's rumored here in the next year or two. And what do you know? In the next year or two, you're going to see drastic design language changes from Apple. Now, what does design language mean? It means essentially aesthetics, the way things look, right? We have, if you are a follower and or listener to the podcast, to the show, we've discussed the roadmap, Apple roadmap. There's some very, very cool stuff. But right around the same time where Tim Cook is going to retire, you're going to see you're going to see a younger CEO, a more enthusiastic CEO, a more vibrant CEO. And that's when they're going to start releasing all this cool stuff. The boring iPhone kind of goes with the boring Tim Cook. We'll get into the potential CEO later, but let me show you what news we just got. And it is going to bring a lot of attention. Check this out. Apple is planning to launch 2 foldables in 2026. What? 2 foldables? First, we thought it was just going to be the iPhone Flip, or just one device. Now they're on pace to launch 2 devices. So now this is not going to be next year. You're gonna have to wait a little bit, right? Anticipation going to build up, but trust me, I'm not an iPhone fan, and I can't wait for this thing. iPhone 16 is about to launch. We do have a launch date, scheduled date for the iPhone launch, and we'll get to that in a second. So next year, iPhone 17, they're going to introduce the iPhone 17 Slim, 17 Thin, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a razor thin iPhone, essentially just a few millimeters thick. Mind-blowing. That's for next year, 2025 iPhone 17 series. iPhone 18 series, 2026, they're releasing the foldables. They're flips. Now, Apple, about 3 months ago, they designed this new hinge. And they actually got a patent on it, where once it's open, there is a zero crease. So they've designed and patented a zero crease hinge, meaning when it's open, you won't see a little crease or a little indentation. Now, Samsung's gotten much better on theirs. On their Flip, it's almost zero here. I mean, it's drastically improved from last year. So not quite zero crease on Samsung, but look, give them 2 more years, they should have a zero crease hinge as well. But Apple's got it, and as soon as they got that patent and got that figured out, that's when it was green light for the Flip. So let's see what we got. A foldable iPhone and a foldable. You know, that's the thing. Oh, you get a foldable MacBook. Well, a MacBook is foldable, right? That's how you close it. But they mean like 2 displays folding together. So it'd be like a ginormous Z Fold, but a MacBook version, basically. So what they're going to do is come out with an iPad. So it's going to be a foldable iPhone, so a iPhone Flip and an iPad Fold for 2026. Now, they're going to use that same patented hinge, one bigger than the other, obviously, but look, they got something special. I'm telling you, next year is when people's heads are going to start to blow up. Not literally, obviously, but people's apples are going to explode. Get it? No, pun intended. But remember, next year, this is going to be insane, and I'm almost more excited to see the thin version than the Flip, although I love flip phones. So this new razor thin phone for the iPhone 17 series, they're going to push out that Plus model. They're not going to sell the Plus model next year. That razor thin model, whatever they call it, iPhone thin, iPhone slim, is going to push out that Plus model and is going to insert itself in the lineup. Again, 2026, the year after, is when you'll see these flip phones. But big news today, releasing 2 foldable devices. Now, we got the launch date. So, I told you there's a lot of Apple news today. So, check this out. Apple, we got a launch date for the iPhone 16 series. It is September 13th. And what do you know? That's 1 month after the Pixel release. So Pixels get released here in about 10 days. And iPhones will get released here in about 6 weeks or so. Are you ready? Pretty quick. So what you see here is the iPhone 5. Excuse me. Yo, who is this? 9 to 5 Mac. This is a 2023 article. I am retarded. I do apologize. I didn't even see that. See, I was in a rush to bring y'all the news, and I totally skipped over that. So disregard that. I will have to edit that out of the episode. I do apologize about that. Let's see here. But I do have some other cool stuff. I promise you, I do have some other cool news. Check this out. Apple says iOS 18 ChatGPT integration is on track for later this year. So I guess we've gotten the news, the rumors that OpenAI is on the verge of bankruptcy, spending way more money than what's coming in. And they just partnered with Apple. So Apple, I guess, says, hey, we got a deal. You supply our devices with ChatGPT. So that's what it looks like they are on plan doing. So during that earnings call, where they discussed the record-breaking revenue that we just went over, they also discuss other things. So in these earning calls, they not only discuss the earnings for the company in that quarter or that past year, fiscal year, but they also talk about that's a chance for the CEO to discuss what they've been working on or what they have coming up here in the near future. This is one of the things that they discussed today. Now, there was no mention of the financial troubles that OpenAI is in. In fact, it was quite the opposite. They were very energetic and excited to get this rolling out. So we've been hearing differing reports, right? It's going to be delayed, and it is delayed. And then they tell us, well, it's delayed, but not that much, right? So look, they're working on things. This stuff is very, very hard. If it was easy, look, Apple's been struggling. They're the biggest company in the world, and they're struggling to get a grip on this, right? Very hard to implement this into your devices, into your software. It's not easy, especially when you have so many devices like Apple. They sell, I don't know how many iPhones they sold last year, but let's see real quick. How many iPhones were sold in 2023 worldwide? Holy shit. Wow, that's more than I thought. So Apple sold 234 million iPhones last year. 234 iPhones last year were sold. Now, this stuff is just staggering. Blew past my estimates as well. So you can see how this, if they're expecting to sell the same amount or more for the year of 2024 and going into 25, you can see how difficult the implementation, because it's not just a small addition to iOS. It's not a little add-on into your software. It's a major it's a major tool to implement into a software. That's going to affect essentially because all new devices from here on out, moving forward, is supposed to run this Apple AI. Now, the current models, only the Pro and the Pro Max, so the base models as of today and the phones in the past will not work. So that means every phone they launch moving forward is going to have to run this. So it's going to put a lot of stress, a lot of strain on a lot of the back systems, servers, data centers, and again, linking all this up to OpenAI servers. It's a lot. So you can tell just flipping a switch and how much network and bandwidth and information that has to be transferred. It's just mind-boggling. It's staggering. Yeah, I'm struggling to find the words to describe it. It's a lot. So look, I do give them, and I haven't really blasted them or criticized them about this because I get it. It's about other stuff, and we'll get into that this weekend. But that's certainly not one of them. Now, let's see. You got a couple more minutes, right? So, I want to get into, we saw the record numbers Apple is reporting in revenue, right? I want you to look at the opposite real quick. So, Intel. So, not only Apple had their report, right? Intel had their quarterly report, and my God, was it abysmal. Intel basically lost $30 billion in worth of stock assets, essentially, in 24 hours. $30 billion was wiped off of their stock price in 24 hours. That's the largest drop in a 24-hour period, I think, in 30 or 40 years, it said. And if you're wondering, well, what the hell happened? I mean, it literally nosedived. Well, Intel's got a lot of issues. Let's get into it briefly. So, I'm not sure, you might have seen the headline recently where there's CPUs, right? So Intel 12th gen and 13th gen. So I think currently we're on 14th generation. I have a 14th gen Intel Core Ultra 7 laptop here. Normally, I left Intel years ago, but I got such a good deal on this laptop, I could not pass it up. I promise you. I wanted to pass it up, but it was too good. I could not pass it up. So I'm like, screw it. Hey, I'm going to give Intel a try again, but I did not leave AMD. I'm still sticking with AMD. I just, got a good deal on that, so I bought it. But so in the headlines, you might see Intel 12th gen and 13th gen CPUs crashing, locking up, essentially, where they get overloaded and they just crash. You can't turn your computer on. They literally lock up. Now, I believe it's for Intel Core 7, 12th gen, and 13th gen. So if you have an i5, you're okay. If you have an i3, you're okay. It's on i7, 12th gen, 13th gen that they're having a lot of issues with. Now, Intel's reputation takes a huge hit. So not only has, well, let me get into their competitors. Let's get into the main issue. Intel, a giant in the semiconductor industry. I think they were the biggest as of maybe a couple years ago, and AMD has caught up. So, Intel has recently faced significant challenges that have severely impacted its reputation, and here's why. Raptor Lake CPU. So this is a brand naming that they gave a generation or a group of their CPUs. Evidence emerged that Intel was selling defective 13th and 14th generation chips. So I stand corrected. Shame on me because I wrote this article, but I've been so busy today. Anyways, I know what I was thinking about when I said 12th. So it's 13th gen and 14th gen. Currently, they're on 14. So if you've purchased a computer recently or a CPU, i7 in the last year or so, you might want to take notice. So they were selling, and here's the problem. They knew they were selling. They knew these CPUs were having issues. They knew these CPUs were locking up, and they continued to sell them. That's where the big uh-oh comes in. While Intel promised a fix through a patch, wink wink, it declined to recall or to pull products from the shelf. All right, so this promise patch came out earlier in the week. It's been a long week for Intel. So last week it came out that they acknowledged the lockups. Now it comes out, last week they acknowledged the lockups of 13th and 14th gen. A few days after that, they said, oh, we have a patch coming, don't worry. Yet, they didn't issue a recall, or they didn't stop selling these, right? And then yesterday, it comes out, they knew, and there is evidence, They knew that these were defective and they continued to sell them. The handling of this Raptor Lake issue raised concerns among consumers and shareholders. It basically puts them in a light that they are so desperate because AMD has passed them up. AMD sells a more powerful, more efficient CPU, just in general, at a cheaper price. If you don't believe me, go take a look at two different computers. So HP, Lenovo, a lot of these companies sell the same exact computer, one with an Intel CPU, one with an AMD CPU. Look at the prices. AMD CPUs typically are $100, $150, or even $200 cheaper than the Intel laptop. That's exactly the same. Just a CPU is different. So AMD sells a better performing, better battery life CPU at $200 cheaper than Intel. Intel's getting passed up. So Intel's slowly declining, AMD slowly inclining. Intel was so desperate to hang on to every little thread of good news. They could not afford anything, any mishaps. And what do you know? This little problem came up and they denied it because they couldn't afford to have a huge hiccup and plummet their stock price, because that would mean AMD would just blow them away, because AMD's been beating them for the last few years, honestly, and Intel is just hanging on to any little thing they could until this weekend. Intel's now dealing with a class action lawsuit related to its handling of this Raptor Lake situation. The lawsuit alleges Intel misrepresented growth and profit in its foundry services. Concerns arise about whether Intel will truly honor the extended warranty it announced. So they also announced an extended warranty. Hey, if your CPU locked up, but that's only because it was due to public pressure. They announced, hey, if you have one of these CPUs that's locked up, they will warranty it, right? Essentially, either fix it or replace it. But they weren't going to do that initially. So, in just 24 hours, as we open the story up with, Intel stock plummeted roughly 30%, resulting in a loss of $39 billion in market value. Overall, Intel's market cap has halved since the start of the year. Intel announced layoffs. That's not good, affecting 15,000 employees globally. The company reported a Q2 loss, further unsettling shareholders, and this was before the stock plummet price. So things were not going good before this unfolded here in the last day or two. Hang on. It was not looking good, and that was essentially in the last 24 hours, that was the nail in the coffin. Now, I'm not going to say they're gone forever, right? Intel's not done for good, but it does not look good. Where they go from here, I have no idea. It could get worse. They could file for bankruptcy, like the class action lawsuit is just hitting. So what if they settle with everybody who filed? What if they don't settle? I'm sure they will settle, but not looking good, and they're about to get passed up. Their AI that all these companies, all these chip makers, all these manufacturers are trying to implement, because it's a proven fact. Look, you and I know, my cat's trying to jump up here. You and I know that the AI in these phones and in these computers, is it really AI? Not so much. Special guest here. Is it really AI? Not so much. But the average consumer doesn't know that. The average consumer doesn't know that. So the average consumer wants to get in this AI thing, and it's a proven fact. Sales attached to the term AI have increased. Samsung way up. They're all in on AI now that their sales are way up. Laptops are back, right? With this Copilot Plus Snapdragon AI is way up. AMD with their new Ryzen CPUs. I cannot wait to get my hands on one, as many computer lovers feel the same way. So, not looking good for Intel. And where they go, nobody knows. But I do promise you, I will let you know and keep you updated, because I'm really interested in this stuff to see where this goes. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's just plummeted. So I got to get out of here. But I did want to hit a real quick episode this evening. I will do an earlier episode tomorrow. I got a ton of stories that I want to get into that I'm skipping tonight because I'm in a rush. But don't miss tomorrow. Possibly do a giveaway tomorrow too, right? I can't do one right now. I got to skedaddle out of here. But join me tomorrow and we'll do a giveaway of some sort, okay? So I appreciate the time. Please have a good, enjoyable, but safe Friday evening, so we can all see each other again here tomorrow. So peace out and see you mañana. I gotta feed this cat. She hungry.